What's up everyone, Coach MccDann here. As we conclude our Smasher's Mentality series, we've covered a vast range of progressive strategies to boost our overall improvement in competition. And while applying these strategies can appeal to a majority of audiences at all levels of competition, there's one primary mentality shift that ties it all together. So strap in, because today, we're going to go into the process of focusing on the present and learn how this method of thinking can improve your overall comprehension of the game you're playing in a tournament setting. For our warm-up today, we're going to focus on decision making. Head into the training mode, select Final Destination as your stage, and for 10 minutes, fight a level 7 CPU of your choosing. Focus on waiting for punishable options from your opponent and execute your own true combos as often as you can. For a majority of our time studying about the concept of maintaining a better mentality in competitive Smash, it can be quite difficult to see your improvement. It's mostly internal. However, what makes training yourself to maintain a better mentality beneficial not only sets yourself as a good example of a player with good competitive integrity, but also allows less poor decisions to be made in crucial points in a set. This is exactly where focusing on the present moment comes to play. Focusing on the present might look different for one player than it does another. But it's not a matter of reenacting exactly what another player does in a situation, but rather, what choices needed to be made in your situation, and most importantly, what choices should be avoided. When applying yourself and focusing on the situation at hand, you can create a certain point of focus for different moments in a game, such as checking what damage percent your opponent is at, the distance they're from stage when recovering, what recovery method they use, what move you can use to guarantee a stock, and so on. For example, let's assume we're in a last stock situation. If I'm at a higher damage percent, what situations do you think I would need to avoid? Smash attacks, a specific move that combos into a kill, maybe let's generalize things a bit more and stay as far away from the blast zone as possible. These are all situations where no one solution is incorrect, but rather very situational, and it's with methods like focusing on the present moment, taking in factors on this exact type of situation you're in, and actively applying that knowledge to your situation is what truly matters. Let's also take our last point of decision making and put yourself in the opponent's shoes. Assuming you're recovering to stage with a high damage percent, what choices can you plan out to avoid losing your stock? Well, maybe it's best if you grab a ledge to recover if you find your opponent punishing your stage landings. Or maybe even try throwing a projectile and going high to recover. The choice is yours if you're actively working to make the most optimal decision. So what else can we do to focus on the present moment? How do we ultimately decide for ourselves that this adaptation of one's mindset can turn the tides of a game or set? Well, honestly, it all starts when you incorporate a majority of what we learned in this series. For our next drill, let's jump back into training mode and focus on a CPU training that's a bit more intense. Fight a level 7 CPU Kazuya for 10 minutes on Final Destination in training mode, and do your best to not overextend into his attack when you have a lead in percentage. Anytime you lose a stock, reset and start the fight over. When we want to focus on the present moment within a match, you'll want to avoid something many players might be prone to doing, and that is overthinking the situation. With methods such as letting go of the outcome, alleviating the pressure from that situation, and plan to ask questions about your experiences after a match, you're already implementing more than half of the effort it takes to understand what is truly going on within a game, and not focus on thinking 3 steps ahead and potentially putting yourself in a position to lose. Being present in the moment isn't all mental. Making sure you form a game plan to execute in these situations is generally good practice, as this will give you a better insight on how to punish your opponent optimally. If you know there's a Samus player who consistently prepares her charge shot in a certain position, your game plan can involve playing around that ability and punishing it when it's poorly used. Easier said than done, but knowing this beforehand will help you when the situation comes up, as you've already thought of what to do. Overall, focusing on the present moment wouldn't be applicable if mindfulness techniques weren't involved. Take the time you need to focus with deep breaths and reset in situations where you feel pressured in a game. Take the time you need to recognize why you lost the stock the way you did, and avoid it the next time around. And most importantly, always play to improve. This process is certainly a test of performance and mental endurance, so always take away a few things to learn from every game to ensure you're more than ready for the next one. Alrighty, as we move on into our Scrim with Purpose today, let's begin to focus on these 10 situations in our own games. Play 3 online games and VOD review any games you lose, and evaluate if panic options were made. This will only prepare you more for when the time comes in an offline tournament setting where you can understand more about your own weaknesses and accommodate for them. This is Coach MccDann. Hope you've enjoyed this amazing series, and until next time.